The accident. Elena Martinez's hands trembled as she smoothed down her navy blazer for the third time. The mirror in her tiny apartment reflected a woman who looked far more confident than she felt. At 26, this interview represented everything she had worked toward since graduating with honors while working 2 jobs to pay her tuition. Nexus Technologies wasn't just any company. It was the fastest-growing tech firm in the city, known for innovation and treating employees like family rather than assets. The position of operations coordinator would triple her current salary at the coffee shop where she managed inventory between serving lattes to impatient customers. Her younger brother, Marco, needed surgery for his knee injury from the construction accident. Her mother's medication costs kept rising. Elena had spent 5 years clawing her way toward this moment, and nothing would stop her from walking through those glass doors at precisely 9 o'clock. The morning rain caught her by surprise. Weather forecasts had promised sunshine, but dark clouds rolled across the sky like smoke. Elena ducked under her umbrella and hurried toward the subway station, her sensible heels clicking against the sidewalk. The train delay came without warning. "A mechanical failure," the crackling intercom announced. "Service suspended indefinitely." Elena checked her phone. 8:52. The Nexus building was 8 blocks away. She ran. Rain pelted her umbrellas. She navigated crowded sidewalks. Her leather portfolio bounced against her hip, containing the presentation she had rehearsed 50 times. Inside were charts demonstrating how she would optimize workflow, reduce operational costs, and improve team communication. She had stayed up until 3 in the morning, perfecting every detail. 6 blocks. 5 blocks. Her lungs burned, but adrenaline pushed her forward. At the intersection before Nexus Tower, Elena saw the revolving doors through sheets of rain. Relief flooded through her. She would make it. Stepping off the curb, her eyes fixed on her destination, she never noticed the sleek black sedan approaching. The impact came without warning. Metal met flesh with a sickening thud. Elena's body lifted off the ground, suspended in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. Her portfolio flew from her hands, papers exploding into the air like white confetti. The umbrella sailed away, tumbling end over end. Then she hit the pavement. Pain radiated through her shoulder and ribs. The world tilted sideways, rain falling upward, downward, in all directions at once. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard a car door slam and footsteps splashing rapidly closer. "Oh God! Oh God, no! Someone call an ambulance!" Hands touched her shoulders, gentle despite their urgency. Elena blinked up through the rain at a face hovering above hers. The man looked about 35, with dark hair plastered against his forehead and eyes filled with absolute horror. "Don't move," he said, his voice breaking. "Please just stay still. Help is coming." Elena tried to speak, but only managed to groan. Her interview, her presentation, everything scattered across the wet pavement like her broken dreams. Unexpected connection. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and coffee. Elena sat on the examination table, her blouse torn at the shoulder, her carefully styled hair now a damp mess. The X-rays showed bruised ribs and a sprained wrist, but nothing broken. She should feel grateful, but all she could think about was the missed interview. James Caldwell paced outside the curtain, his expensive suit rumpled and rain-stained. When the doctor finally let him in, his relief was palpable. "Thank God you're okay. I am so incredibly sorry. I didn't see you until—" "It's fine," Elena interrupted, though tears threatened to spill. "Accidents happen. Let me at least cover all your medical expenses and anything else you need." He pulled out a business card, then froze as he noticed the Nexus Technologies letterhead on one of her scattered papers that a nurse had collected. "Wait, were you coming to my company?" Elena's eyes widened. "My company?"
James Caldwell, CEO of Nexus Technologies. His face paled further. Your interview. Oh God, your 9 o'clock interview. The absurdity of it all hit Elena at once. She had been hit by the owner of the company she was supposed to interview with. A hysterical laugh bubbled up, then another, until she was laughing and crying simultaneously. James stared at her like she might be concussed. Then suddenly he was laughing too. This is insane! This is absolutely insane! Come on, James said impulsively. Let me buy you coffee. Real coffee, not hospital cafeteria sludge. It's the least I can do. They ended up in a small cafe 2 blocks from the hospital. James had sent his driver away and carried her recovered papers himself. As they sat across from each other, something shifted between them. Tell me about yourself, James said. Not the interview version, the real version. Elena hesitated, then found herself opening up. She told him about Marco's injury, her mother's strength, her dreams of making a real difference in a company that valued innovation. James listened intently, his eyes never leaving her face. My turn, Elena said. Why does the CEO drive himself to work? James smiled. Because I started this company in my garage 5 years ago. Sometimes I need to remember what it felt like to have nothing but an idea and determination. He paused. My father built an empire and forgot to build relationships. I promised myself I'd do things differently. They talked for 2 hours. The chemistry between them was undeniable. The way their laughter synchronized, how they leaned closer without realizing it, the electric moment when their hands accidentally touched, reaching for the sugar. I want to reschedule your interview, James said finally, but I can't be on the panel. It wouldn't be appropriate. Elena met his eyes, understanding passing between them. This connection, whatever it was, complicated everything. Tomorrow? She asked softly. Tomorrow, he confirmed, and his smile made her forget every ache and pain. A second chance. Elena arrived at Nexus Technologies at 8:30 in the morning, her wrist wrapped but her determination intact. The building's glass facade reflected clouds and possibility. She had replaced her ruined outfit with her second-best interview suit, charcoal gray with subtle pinstripes. The receptionist, a friendly woman named Keisha, recognized her immediately. You're the one who Mr. Caldwell. Oh, I'm so glad you're okay. He's been stressed all day about you. The interview panel consisted of 3 people. Sarah Chen, the Chief Operations Officer, Marcus Williams, the head of HR, and Patricia Gonzalez, the Director of Administration. James was notably absent, though Elena felt his presence somehow in the carefully neutral questions and the way Sarah's eyes occasionally flickered to something outside the conference room window. Elena presented her operational efficiency proposal with renewed passion. The accident had reminded her that life was fragile and opportunities even more so. She spoke about streamlining communication protocols, implementing new project management software, and creating mentorship programs for junior employees. Your ideas are impressive, Sarah said, leaning forward. But I have to ask, given the unusual circumstances of how you met our CEO, can you maintain professionalism? Elena met her gaze steadily. What happened yesterday was an accident that could have happened to anyone. My qualifications and dedication to this role have nothing to do with how I arrived at this building. I'm here because I'm the best person for this job. The panel exchanged glances. Marcus smiled. When can you start? 2 weeks later, Elena sat at her new desk on the 15th floor. The view overlooked the city, and her office was 3 times the size of her old bedroom. She had thrown herself into the work, mapping out operational improvements and building relationships with every department. James had been carefully distant. They passed each other in hallways with professional nods. During her first company-wide meeting, he had welcomed her without any special attention. But Elena felt the weight of his gaze when he thought no one was watching. One late evening, Elena was alone in the office, finalizing a presentation for the next day's executive meeting. The cleaning crew had already left. She was so focused on her laptop that she didn't hear the footsteps until someone spoke. "You're here late." Elena looked up to find James standing in her doorway, his tie loosened and jacket draped over his arm. Her heart performed an unwelcome somersault. "Big presentation tomorrow," she said, trying to sound casual. "Want to make sure it's perfect." "Mind if I look?" He shouldn't. They both knew he shouldn't, but Elena nodded, and James crossed the room to stand behind her chair. She could feel the warmth radiating from his body as he leaned closer to view her screen. "This is exceptional work. Elena, you have accomplished more in 2 weeks than—" She turned her head, and suddenly their faces were inches apart.
Breaking barriers. Over the following weeks, James and Elena tried to maintain professional distance, but the attraction between them was magnetic. They found excuses to work late, to collaborate on projects, to steal moments in empty conference rooms where their conversations blurred between business strategy and personal dreams. "My father built his company by crushing competitors," James told her one night as they sat in his office, the city lights twinkling below. "I want to build mine by lifting people up. Is that naive?" "It's brave," Elena said softly. She told him about growing up watching her mother work 3 jobs, about the determination that had driven her to excel despite every obstacle. "We both want to prove something. Maybe that's why this feels so right." Their first real date happened by accident. A client dinner was canceled last minute, and James invited Elena to join him at a small Italian restaurant instead. They sat in a corner booth, sharing pasta and wine, laughing like they weren't CEO and employee, but simply 2 people falling for each other. "This is dangerous," Elena said, though she was smiling. "The best things usually are," James replied, his hand finding hers across the table. But workplace romances, especially between a CEO and an employee, rarely stayed secret. The whispers started after someone saw them leaving the office together. Then Keisha noticed the way James lit up when Elena entered a room. Soon, speculation spread through Nexus like wildfire. Elena felt the change immediately. Some colleagues grew colder, their smiles forced. Others watched her with barely concealed curiosity or resentment. In meetings, her ideas were suddenly questioned more aggressively. "They think I got this job because of him," she told her friend Monica over drinks. "They think I'm sleeping my way to the top, even though we didn't even kiss until after I was hired." "Are you?" Monica asked gently. "With him, I mean." Elena's silence was answer enough. "Then you need to decide if he's worth it." The crisis came during a quarterly review meeting. Richard Stockton, a senior vice president who had been with the company since its early days, openly challenged in Elena's proposal. "With all due respect, Ms. Martinez, perhaps you should focus on learning our established systems before trying to reinvent them. Some of us earned our positions through years of dedication, not other means." The room fell silent. Elena felt every eye turn toward her, then toward James at the head of the table. Her face burned with humiliation and anger. James's voice cut through the tension like ice. "Richard, that comment was inappropriate and unprofessional. Elena's proposal is based on solid data and innovative thinking, exactly what this company needs. If you have legitimate concerns about the methodology, address those. Otherwise, I suggest you reconsider how you speak to your colleagues." Richard's face reddened, but he remained silent. After the meeting, Elena found James waiting outside her office. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. "Yes, I did. What he implied was wrong." James stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Elena, I won't apologize for caring about you, but I also won't let anyone diminish your accomplishments or suggest you haven't earned everything you've achieved here." "People are talking, James. This affects both our reputations." "Then let them talk.
His eyes held hers with fierce intensity. "I'm not hiding how I feel anymore. If this company can't handle their CEO falling in love with someone who happens to be brilliant at her job, then maybe I built the wrong company." Elena's breath caught. "Love?" James touched her face gently. "I hit you with my car, and somehow it was the best accident of my life. Yes, Elena, I'm in love with you." She kissed him then, in the hallway where anyone could see, and decided that some risks were worth taking. Full circle. The next morning, James called an all-hands meeting. Elena stood at the back of the auditorium, her stomach churning with anxiety as employees filed in, whispering and speculating. James took the stage with his characteristic confidence. "I'm going to address something that's been the subject of considerable gossip. Yes, Elena Martinez and I are in a relationship. It began after she was hired, and it in no way influenced her selection for this position. Elena earned her role through her qualifications, experience, and innovative thinking." He paused, letting his words sink in. "This company was built on principles of transparency, respect, and merit. If you have concerns about favoritism or conflicts of interest, HR has established protocols to address them fairly. But I will not tolerate anyone undermining Elena's professional contributions or treating her differently because of our relationship. Her work speaks for itself." Elena felt tears prick her eyes as colleagues turned to look at her, some with understanding, others with respect, a few still skeptical. Sarah Chen stood up. "I was on Elena's interview panel. She was the strongest candidate by far, and her performance has exceeded all expectations. Anyone who questions that hasn't been paying attention." Marcus Williams nodded. "We've implemented new oversight measures to ensure transparency in any decisions involving Elena's role or advancement. This company succeeds because we hire the best people. Elena is one of them." After the meeting, Richard Stockton approached Elena in the hallway. "I owe you an apology," he said stiffly. "My comments were out of line. I've reviewed your proposals more carefully, and they're solid. I let personal prejudice cloud my judgment." "Thank you," Elena said simply. "I just want to do good work." "You are," Richard admitted. "Keep it up." 3 months later, Elena stood in the same intersection where James's car had struck her. The rain had returned, but this time she carried an umbrella. James stood beside her, holding an identical one. "Weird anniversary to celebrate," she teased. "The weirdest," he agreed, pulling her close. "But it gave you." Her operational efficiency program had reduced costs by 18% while improving employee satisfaction. Marco's surgery had been successful, and Elena had moved her family into a better apartment. She had proven herself not just to the company, but to herself. "I never thanked you properly," James said, "for taking a chance on me, on us." "You literally ran me over," Elena laughed. "I'd say we're even." "I'm serious. You could have walked away a dozen times. The complications, the gossip, the pressure." Elena silenced him with a kiss. "Some collisions change everything," she murmured against his lips. "This one changed me, changed us. I wouldn't undo a single moment." As they walked towards Nexus Tower together, Elena realized that sometimes the biggest opportunities came from the most unexpected places. She had been running towards her future that rainy morning, never imagining it would find her first. With a screech of tires, a moment of impact, and a connection that proved strong enough to weather any storm. The glass doors revolved, welcoming them both inside. The end.